Why do good things just keep happening to Rolex? It's bullshit. Boom, watch fan. What is up, watch fam? I am Christian, the curator of the Theo and Harris Vintage Watch Shop, and today I'm going to be talking about President Joe Biden's newest watch. And by the end of today's conversation, after we do a little bit of history and some information about this particular piece, I'm going to be talking about what watch I think he should be buying next. And I have a funny feeling that his budget is rather flexible these days. So hey, right? It must be nice. I'm wearing a vintage Datejust, my personal vintage Datejust. This is a reference 1601. It dates to 1977. It has a beautiful blue dial, white gold fluted bezel. The Datejust is one of the more popular watches that we have historically sold in the Theo and Harris Watch Shop, and I have it paired with one of our handmade French leather watch straps. So go ahead and take a look in the Theo and Harris strap shop to give your watch, Rolex or not, a breath of fresh air. So let's talk about presidents and their watches before we go into President Joe Biden, Mr. Number 46. Before we go any further with the conversation, I would like to remind you all that we are, yes, giving away a Rolex next week. Actually, Michael will be doing a video and announcing the winner. It's all very exciting, so don't worry, don't fret. The winner is coming soon. Back to the conversation. Even more widely than presidents, world leaders, important, influential people, and the watches they choose to wear impact quite largely the watches that the rest of the world chooses to wear. Rolex is a fantastic example of a brand that has capitalized on this, but they're certainly not the only one. Some presidents to have worn Rolex include Dwight D. Eisenhower. President Obama most recently purchased a Rolex just a couple of years ago after he left office. An unusual Rolex too. He actually bought a Rolex Cellini, which is like the Rolex that everyone jumps over in the authorized dealer. It actually showed quite good taste. But presidents, like I said, aren't the only ones that we look after. Just on Monday, we celebrated Martin Luther King Day, and Martin Luther King Jr. did, in fact, wear a Rolex Datejust. His was in solid yellow gold, not too shabby. While not a president, Dr. Martin Luther King, one of the most influential Americans of all time, did, I think, have a lot to do, or has had a lot to do with, historically, Rolex's ascent to the top. But moving on to today's point, which is now a continuation of kind of the influence that celebrities have had on the watch industry, President Joe Biden chose to wear a Rolex Datejust 40 millimeter with a smooth bezel, blue dial, and Jubilee bracelet to that inauguration. And that choice earned a ton of headlines, quite a bit of free press for Rolex. And if I know Rolex, and I think I do, I bet he paid for that watch too. No freebies. What I think is cool about this story is two things on a personal level, both completely apolitical. Joe Biden is a watch guy. He's been spotted with what we all in the watch community look at as really nice watches for quite some time. He has been an Omega guy though. We've seen him with Seamaster professionals. We've seen him with Speedmasters, and to the best of my understanding, never Rolex before. So it is kind of a shame for Omega that they weren't able to, hold that kind of endorsement up into the presidency, because if they were, I'm sure they would have capitalized on that, moving forward at some point, in history. But instead, it's just another world leader wearing a Rolex, which again, great watch. But we do root for the underdog sometimes, and Omega in this scenario is that underdog. And another thing, I personally think Joe Biden has terrific taste in watches because I am wearing basically the vintage equivalent of that watch. I chose to go with a white gold fluted bezel, whereas President Biden chose to go with a smooth bezel. I respect the choice. The Datejust has a ton of personality with these different simple bezel swaps. At the time, in the 60s and 70s, Rolex offered them in three different bezels. One was the white gold, two was the stainless steel smooth bezel, and then three was the stainless steel engine turned bezel. Today, the watch is just offered in smooth or fluted, either white or yellow. And President Biden is actually the third president in a row to be well known for wearing Rolex. President Obama with his Cellini after the presidency. President Trump before his presidency was often seen with a 18-karat yellow gold day-date, which is the president's watch. And now we have Joe Biden. So this is starting what's looking like a tradition that is going to really work out for Rolex really, really well. I wonder if he did consider the president watch. I wonder if he considered the 40 millimeter day-date. He doesn't seem like the kind of guy. Frankly, I'm surprised that he chose a Rolex. I actually like that the guy's wearing a Rolex. He has plenty of money. I think, to my understanding, he's a pretty wealthy guy. And I just hate that kind of disingenuous, fake common man thing that presidents have done and leaders in general have done. Bill Clinton did it. I know when Bill Clinton was in presidency, he didn't have a lot of money, but that's still kind of very relatable, very average kind of guy thing. I just don't like that. I prefer if you're rich to just, kind of come out and say it if you like watches. If you don't like watches, then you don't have to wear great watches because you have money. But I like the level of honesty that is inherent in saying, yeah, I did go and buy a $10,000 watch because I had a good day. Because I'm the president, I mean, again, it's apolitical. I just like when people are a little bit more honest and aren't using every little thing down to their watch as a way to deceive. And again, apolitical. Talk about your own time. But in this, in this watch conversation, I like that a Rolex is on the wrist of a rich person who wanted to wear the watch. So what watch would I next like to see on the wrist of President Joe Biden? I'd like a little bit of a throwback. I'm a vintage guy. I'm a history guy. And while the word president's watch is most commonly associated with the Rolex Datejust, it wasn't the original president's watch. The original president's watch was actually the Cricket by Vulcain, which was a mechanical alarm watch. And it was accepted as such and worn by Presidents Truman, Eisenhower, Nixon, and Johnson. And then it just disappeared. Vulcain does, in fact, still exist, but I can't remember. And I've been in this business for a while. I see hundreds of watches a week, and I haven't seen a new Vulcain on someone's wrist in I don't even know how long. And it's a real shame. Now, I don't think that the modern Vulcain Cricket, or I think they call it the President's Watch, or whatever they call it, today has the same level of character and appeal as the older models. But still, it would be nice as a watch geek to see a president kind of give a nod to the watch community, if they were, in fact, a watch geek. And I wouldn't necessarily bet big money on it, but I have a feeling if Joe Biden is a watch guy that he probably knows that the Vulcain Cricket is historically the president's watch. And I think it would just be a cute little nod, to us, to we, the watch geeks. But beyond that hopeful idea, I would like to see an American watch on the wrist of the president. A small independent maybe. RGM comes to mind. In the watch community, fairly popular small independent based in Pennsylvania. Keaton Myrick is another American watch manufacturer. Very, very small production that does get some traction in the, again, very, very tight-knit watch community. I think it would be really nice as a watch geek and as an American to see a president support a small independent American watch manufacturer. That would be very nice. So President Joe Biden, if you are listening, and if you are, then that's probably because you're bored and on the toilet or something, watching YouTube watch videos. I'm sure you have more important things to do. But if you are listening, go ahead and take a look at some of the small American independents that are out there. I'm sure that you would actually change some people's lives by wearing their watch, which I think is pretty cool. So that's it. Guys, thank you so much for watching. If you liked this video, go ahead and like it, subscribe to our channel. And yes, we're giving away a Rolex next week. We're giving it away. Michael will be hosting a video in which talks about Jubilee, right? Michael's talking about Hugh Blow, and he's going to give away a Rolex. So it's really more positive to Rolex, I suppose. I guess it says something. Thank you guys again so much for watching. See you all again soon.